So I haven't really planned what to speak about, but I have 3 points I want to cover. The first one is why I think passion matters. The second one is what I have done with my passion to try and fit it into my lifestyle and make an impact with my passion. And the third one, I'm not going to mention the third one just yet. That's going to be a surprise. To talk about passion, I think we need to talk about a finite resource which we all share. Some have more of it than others, and that is time. So actually, if you hit Google Pictures and enter the phrase "time is money," it's sort of a way of emphasizing the value of time. But I think that's kind of missing the whole point, because to me, time is something which cannot ever be measured in terms of money. Because, I mean, we live in a society where we are encouraged, both politically and with commercials and everything, to purchase other people's time and to actually sell our own time. Now, that may seem a bit abstract, but what I mean is, let's say these smoothies are free because this is such a nice event, but let's say regularly, in a normal situation, if I wanted to buy a smoothie, then first of all, I have to sell some of my time, because I have to earn money to be able to afford a smoothie. The other thing is, someone has to construct this cup, this straw, and the contents of it. So it's a natural part of the way the world works that we're either gonna sell our time to earn money, and then we're gonna spend our money, which requires for someone else to sell their time. Now, I don't think this is a problem, I just think we need to consider it. This is a quote by one of the many people who inspires me, Shifushi Yang-ming. What he says here is what I'm interested in. If I want to do it, nothing is difficult. If I don't want to do it, nothing is easy. To me, that sentence makes a lot of sense, because I struggle with everything I'm not passionate about, and that's just the way it's always been for me, at least. I have I don't know, do you guys feel the same, or perhaps some of you, yeah, and perhaps someone doesn't, perhaps someone is really good at doing things even though they don't have the emotional drive, perhaps they can just do it anyways. Any of you?
Yeah, I think I'm okay with that, even though it's maybe not as fun.
Yeah, great. That's a great ability. I have this theory. My theory is that there are 2 sorts of activities. I may be wrong, but I know this applies to me at least. There's the activities which require my mental focus, and for these, in order to do them well, I have to have some emotional investment in them. And then there's the other kind of activities, the ones which don't require much focus. For instance, I've worked as a cashier in a supermarket. This didn't require much focus for me at all, because it was pretty much just a habitual sort of act. I didn't need to be passionate to be able to do this sort of thing. And I think that's because the sort of activities where we don't need to focus, they can be approached in 2 ways, I think. They can be approached as a form of meditation, and they can be approached as a form of escapism. For instance, let's say I was the cashier. Perhaps I'm thinking about my girlfriend, or perhaps I'm thinking about a movie I saw last night, or who knows, I'm somewhere else. But the task is pretty simple, so I can still do it. And I can do it competently. That's escapism. if it were, I could also apply it as a form of meditation, because the act is very simple. So I can use it to like just focus on doing simply that thing and then just zone out from my environment. And that means I can actually do that thing well, even though I'm not passionate about it. Now, the types of activities which require us to be mentally engaged, those are the ones where I feel this quote really hits me. Like, say, let's say planning the speech. If I didn't care at all about connecting with you guys and sharing my message, then this would be a difficult chore for me to think of something to blah 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 about here. The next point is, I would like to tell you my own experience, like what I have done to try and make something of my passion and make it a part of my lifestyle. Zen-Dragon, that's my project, and I began doing this. Welcome. Grab a smoothie if you like. It's free. And I started doing this around the end of summer, the end of June to be more exact. And I've always been passionate about martial arts, but I wanted to like try and build something from it, try to make an impact to others. And also I've seen several people who managed to take their passion and turn it into a sort of living. So I had that idea also in mind. Primarily, I want to make an impact. Secondarily, I might turn it into something which can be work for me. This video is one I couldn't make without connecting with others. Perhaps just a bit more. Never mind. It's full screen. Everything is explained in the video. Yeah. This video is kind of special because I interacted with others using the media in Instagram. So what I did was, I think it was mentioned in the beginning, but perhaps some of you didn't notice. I asked other martial artists who are passionate about martial arts to upload a short clip of them performing some sort of martial arts and providing a message which I would share with an audience. And that's kind of what's interesting about doing something with social media, which is the way I've chosen to apply my passion. It allows interaction in a different sense than, for instance, like if you were a television program or something where it's just one-way communication. I find that it's a great way to connect with others and to gain new experiences as well. There are different opportunities thanks to social media. Like if you want to express some perhaps poetry or something, then blogging is a great way to do that. If you want to share like a quick picture, then there's Instagram, and there's all sorts of opportunities. It can be really difficult to actually find the time to apply your passion. However, social media and technology also allows us to do something with our passion, which may end up turning it into a career. That's not the only direction to go in if you want a passionate life, but I'm just going to provide some quick examples just for inspiration. This is one of my sources of inspiration, a crazy guy named Juji Mufu, if I pronounce it correctly. What he does is trigging, which is like really extreme acrobatics, and he also does bodybuilding, like eats crazy amounts of food and everything. But what I'm inspired about is not really his abilities, it's his passion. Perhaps I shouldn't show this source because it makes my own brain seem less original, but who cares? I was probably inspired by this subconsciously, this title, Zen. Anyways, how many of you, do any of you know this page, Zen? pencils? You do? Only one person here? Sure. This is basically, you can scroll down. Yeah, we don't need to read it, so just for illustration. What this guy has done is, he's passionate about drawing, and then he decided to share some inspiring quotes from any source and turn it into like a comic. And he did this to begin with because he was passionate about it, which allowed him to work hard at it, and he's actually turned it into his full-time living. There's all kinds of ways you can turn something you're passionate about into like a living. It's definitely not easy. A lot of people are trying to do this, but this guy, it could have been like advertisements or something. In this case, it's the fact that he sells posters and does like public speaking as well. How many of you are familiar with Humans of New York? Yeah? Yeah. So the story about this guy is also basically he quit his job, and he was passionate about photography and passionate about people. 20 years ago, no one would think you could make a living from caring about people just in that sense. Perhaps someone did, but it wouldn't be the normal idea. Anyways, what he's done is he's reached a large audience, and now he does it for a living. And I'm actually not sure how he profits, but I do know that he does it for a living. Perhaps there's some sponsorship thing. I think it's time actually for all of us to get up, and those who showed at the beginning before this talk know what this is about. The rest of you, if you just stand up, this is gonna be not too complicated. And put down if you have like a smoothie, just put it down. Okay, we don't need a lot of space for this. I'm gonna ensure that we don't. Seeing as I'm a martial artist and you're all gathered here, I figured it would be fun to do just like a basic martial movement. Because who knows, perhaps someone who doesn't know it is passionate about martial arts. And also just to have you engaged. So I'm gonna do this very slowly, and I'm gonna explain what I'm doing. You're gonna practice with me, so you're just gonna try and follow my movement slowly. Now, whether I'm doing something with my left or my right hand, that doesn't matter. Actually, it doesn't even matter if you do this well or not, because it's your first time trying, so who cares? Just try it. So, we're gonna block and punch. So this is a strike, this hand, this is a block. Then we're gonna strike for the groin. Then we're gonna bring the elbow up and hit the chin of the opponent. And then we're gonna strike for the throat. Okay? Are you guys ready to try and do it a bit quick? No? Okay. We have to try anyways. Okay. So, block, strike. Are you with me? Yes. Groin, chin, neck. Alright, cool. I just wanted to try that thing out. Alright, you can sit down. Thank you. In relation to what I talked about with my theory that there are two sorts of things we can, like two approaches to work. Either you find some sort of work where you don't have to focus on that, and then you don't need to be passionate about it. Then you also have the energy to apply your passion outside of work. Or you find something which you're really passionate about and either turn it into work, or you turn your work into something you can be passionate about. Like realizing what's fascinating about working at a library, for instance. What is it which makes that thing exciting? That's pretty much the conclusion I'd like to leave you with before we're going to do a Q&A session here at the end. But the conclusion is very simple. I think if you're working, and if you're not, you're probably going to be working at some point, I guess is, are you passionate about the work you do? Or does the work you do allow you to be passionate about something else? Now, it doesn't have to be one thing. It can also be several things. But that's the thing I want to share with you. And yes, that's it. I'm not busy if you're not. Yeah.
I actually just remembered that I sometimes, whenever I want to travel, for example, then if I don't want to travel alone, then I sometimes have difficulty finding someone who wants or can join me.
Yeah.
And it kind of reminded me of what you said, that time is money, because what I usually say in these kind of contexts is that either that person or the people that I would like to travel with and that would like to travel with me, they either don't have money or they don't have time.
Yeah.
So this is kind of even a different perspective to what you said before.
Yeah.
But it happens, from my point of view, very fast that when you work a lot in order to have money, to achieve the things that you really want to do, then you actually don't have time to spend that money.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, if you're, for example, a student and you have very little money, then you basically just can't do it, even though you would have time and would be flexible to, I don't know, travel whenever it would be possible. So
Yes, that's a very good point, because that's sort of the struggle in modern life, I think. I practice martial arts self-defense lessons with a homeless guy. Now this guy, he has time is definitely a resource that he has. He has the freedom to just say, okay, I'm just going to put my work to the side. I'm just going to practice martial arts with you, like he did with me once. But he doesn't have a lot of wealth. He doesn't have the financial resources to, for instance, go traveling. So that can be really difficult, like managing to have both. I think it depends on what you value, because who am I to say that materialism is wrong if it's like the answer to someone? It's not the answer to me, so I don't feel like I can understand whether it is the answer or not for someone. But if you find that a big screen TV isn't what makes you happy, then perhaps, and you have it, perhaps you can sell it, and you have some more money, you have some more freedom. Is there anyone who has like a sort of knows what can narrow down, like, this is my passion? Yeah?
I can.
Yes?
I'm really passionate about people as well. And I just started as an event coordinator.
Yeah.
So I make events, so I'm really hvad hedder det nu?
In Danish, I speak Danish as well.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
I really want to do stuff quick because I get impatient. That's the word,
exactly.
impatient.
Yeah.
So this is a great place for me because I can do stuff like design and be active and actually see ahead of the future where it's gonna go.
Yeah.
And then the next thing comes up. But
Yeah.
I'm also a designer, so later in life I know I want to have my own company. So this is also for me, but also for learning. So I can have some time also for myself, meditating and all that stuff. So just a learning experience. So I can end up at that point later in life. So I have it all planned out, specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's quite a privilege, actually, I think, to be able to be paid for something.
It's hard to actually find the ways because it's uphill and downhill all the time.
Speaking of uphill, downhill, the way I see it, I think a lot in terms of yin and yang. It's actually the symbol here, which I'm sure you can't tell. But I think a lot in terms of yin and yang, and I think actually that in order to feel the high, I think you need to be down low sometimes. Any other questions or comments, perhaps? You can also ask about me if you feel like.
Yeah. Can you tell how you find your own pleasure and joy?
Yes.
Because, well, from my own experience and from people from my generation, we find it difficult even to find what we want to do.
There's a lot of things I'm passionate about, but like my passion for martial arts, it has always been there without me really thinking much about it, just from the fact of just watching like martial arts movie and just thinking, oh, that looks cool, like a lot of kids do, and I never did anything about it until I was like 24 years old, and I walked by this poster for a Kung Fu club, and it's actually where I practice today, and I'm also an instructor, and just taking that step in that direction turned it from just something I was sort of interested in to becoming like a real passion of mine. And I also think you'd like to hear some kind of advice about how to turn that passion into something you can do for a living, or perhaps something you can fit into your life. And that's a struggle, definitely. Also for me, actually. Try to use social media as a platform to reach others, because as soon as you reach people with what you're passionate about, and there's gonna be, if you're passionate about something, there's gonna be someone else who's passionate about it as well. Once you reach people, then there's all kinds of potential for turning that into like a living profit, either through sponsorships or advertisements or something else. There's a lot of opportunities there, but it's really difficult, and I have no idea whether that ever happens for me. So I have to just be content with the process of my project, which I am.
It also requires some degree of, you know, to really decide so that I will focus on this and I don't listen to you.
I think it's very important to like try and tune out those voices, because even if you become like a CEO of a big company, then in the end, what does it matter if the reason why you did it was because everyone told you that that's how you become a success? To me, success means it means actually when you are going to die, that you can look back on life and feel like I actually spent my time doing what I felt like to the extent possible. So it's of course difficult to try and tune out the external pressures and try to feel within, but I think it's also very important. Yeah.
My question is, what function is martial arts for most people who engage in martial arts? I mean, it is self-defense or emotional expression or emotional communication?
Mm-hmm. That's a good question. There's a lot of aspects to martial arts, and I find that the richest experience I get from martial arts is by focusing on different aspects. You can't focus on all of it all at once, but at times I've been very focused on self-defense, where sparring is important, and you're not gonna do something like this if you're gonna try and defend yourself, because that's not. I would probably be lying on my ass right now if I tried to do that, unless I'm really lucky and perhaps the person is drunk or something. So some people are very focused on self-defense. That's one aspect. Another aspect may be like the freedom of movement, or perhaps, like you said, emotional expression. There's also, in the martial arts thing, there's also this culture of reflection, at least in Asian martial arts, which goes back to the yin and yang principle. Like, you're learning to use your body, so you need to balance it with your mind. Yeah.
I have one more thought. I recently watched a TED Talk, and it was about maybe there's not just for one particular person, there might not be just one passion. There might be several things that they are passionate about. So I think it's also maybe, let's say that there's this pressure from society that we are supposed to do this and that, that's one thing. And then there's the pressure that if we do something and we decide to do it, then it has to be something that we're passionate about, and that has to be the one thing, like the most important thing that we are gonna love doing for the rest of our life, let's say.
Yeah.
But I don't think that this is necessarily the non-plus ultra, let's say. It should be, maybe we should also not limit ourselves to only one thing that we're passionate about.
Yeah, and I do want to leave you with this conclusion, to follow your passion, but there's not just one way to do it. And just to keep things simple, I would actually say there's just two ways of doing it, but it is difficult. Either, like, you use your work to make room for passion or make money for passion, for instance, with skydiving, or the work is actually a part of your passion. But and just speaking of which, passion, it might as well be employed. Perhaps your passion is being there for your friends and riding your bicycle, and that's not really the point. The point is to try and become aware of what makes you happy, so you can try and prioritize that to the extent possible. And I don't have any more answers than that. Really, I don't, because I think life is always going to be a struggle, and perhaps that's also a good thing. Speaking of the highs and the lows, like if there was just one basic answer, perhaps it would be like a flat, boring experience.
What's your position after 10 years?
Yeah, I don't tend to think that long term, but one of my goals with this project is to see if I can turn that into a living at some point. And I know, that's my major goal. I have a lot of minor goals, and one goal I know I'm going to reach is the conclusion that I know whether I could turn this into a living or not, because I'm gonna try and do my best with it, and then I'll see. But the destination I want to arrive at is happiness, at least some level of happiness, and I already feel pretty happy a lot of the time, so that's good at least. But yeah, I have a lot of dreams, but I think it's important not to be too narrow-minded and focused on your dream. Like, I've had a dream of just exploring the world and trying to live a life of freedom and adventure. I've also had a dream of settling down with a girl who means a lot to me, and trying to establish a family and safety in that sense, because I never actually really had that myself. But even so, perhaps I'll have another dream 10 years from now. I think also we can't all realize our dreams, because it's not all up to us. So I think it's important, if you're focused just on one thing and it doesn't seem possible, then it's important to also be able to look in other directions and try and look at other opportunities. And by all means, if no other opportunity makes sense to you, if there's nothing else you're passionate about that's going to make you happy, then go for the one thing which makes you happy, even if it never works. Because that's what it's about. But it's definitely important to be able to dream new dreams, I think.
Same. I have a lot of things that I'm actually passionate about. And I don't really set goals for me, 10 years from now and stuff, because it never works out. So I want to be happy, but the first thing I found out it's the most important thing for me, I learned, to look inside yourself, accept yourself, and be happy with who you are. And after that, you can actually be focused on saying, maybe your parents are saying, oh, you should do this and you should do that, but then you're actually okay with yourself and you're accepting yourself and what your goals are, so you can actually find the passion and see what things that you're actually good at. And then you can look into multiple ways of maybe making that a success or a way of living in the future. So you can, when you already seen that path, you can actually see more path afterwards to see the end goal of your passion.
But at the end, we should choose one of that many many ways, because we should not go from one branch to another branch.
No, it should all make sense. So you should see your vision in the future. But if you have a lot of things that maybe you should try some out, and then you find out, oh, maybe they connected in some way. So if you try it, you find new ways. So you end up with an end goal of actually being happy in the future, but also do maybe 3 things at once that you actually can combine in one job, or something like that.
Can I answer?
Yeah.
How old are you? Oh, it was me.
Both.
How old are you?
Okay, first you, then you. Yeah.
25.
Yeah, you're still young. As long as you're young, there's plenty of opportunity. Just try a lot of things. Try as many things as you can.
Even if you're old.
Yeah, exactly. I said that
Who
too.
knows who's
Try
gonna
things as you
live
can.
longest? Perhaps some gonna. Who knows? Like, that's a pessimistic thought, but we have no idea who's gonna die first here. And let's face it.
Yeah.
I think it's also the journey of it all. Like, with my project, for instance, this would be like, it's something that's so difficult to succeed at, so it would be like a definite failure if I didn't enjoy what I actually did. And in the end, it's about the process. If I hate doing this, then who cares if it turns into like something big?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have some passions which are completely opposite. For example, I'm a programmer. At the same time, I like to take part in social activities. But programmers are introvert people.
Yeah.
At the same time, I'm extrovert.
Yeah.
So they are contradicting each other.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not always that like everything just makes complete sense in the way we're wired and everything. It doesn't to me either. It's not just like everything I'm thinking about is just constantly martial arts and it's the only passion of mine. No, it doesn't. Sometimes I think I lost track. Sorry.
How long have you been doing Zen-Dragon?
Zen-Dragon, yeah. I started this thing on the 28th of June. That's when I started.
year?
This year, yeah.
Exactly. And think about how much you've learned since then.
That's
Because
crazy.
I know you've learned a lot of things since then.
Yeah.
Not just about social media, but practical things like editing, photo editing, all kinds of stuff. I know you learned a lot.
Yeah.
And that might be knowledge that you can use later on. There's a lot of knowledge that you've gained in such a short amount of time.
For me, just basically, and that's why I decided to just dive into this thing. It's just, for me, it's already a success to know that I've really pursued something. Like, I've seen all the TED Talks with people talking like me and talking about, oh, follow your passions, do what you're passionate about. But just actually, just the process of just trying that's a success. Then there's the learning experience, like this guy, actually my friend Hodja, he actually taught me a lot about video editing, and the rest I learned on my own. So that's something. And like learning the differences between Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, for instance, and so the social media marketing. Then there's the people I've met who I would never have met otherwise. So in a lot of ways, I feel like this has been a great success, whether or not I realize my end goal. And also, like, I believe perfection is like a moving target. Because if I were to reach my end goal, let's say being able to buy like a helicopter, let's just Zen-Dragon, let's just say that, then I think the way we're wired as people, probably because of evolution, is I would find something new to reach for. My goal would keep changing. And going back to what I said about focus on the journey in terms of happiness, I think that's also one of the reasons why we need to forget about just constantly focusing on the destination, because it changes when you get there. Then you'll find something new you need to follow. So I think it's a lot about the journey. Yeah.
You could also say, like, focusing on, for example, martial arts. Instead of focusing on becoming the perfect martial artist, you focus on a kick at a time or a punch at a time, and then you get better and better. But your focus would always be like right in front of you, the small steps, and you become really good at it, but you'll never be like, you'll never reach the end goal, but you'll keep having a focus all the time.
Yeah, just setting tiny goals. It's way easier to realize a tiny goal than it is to realize a huge goal. And going back to the thing about passion, a lot of times our passion may be related to like a huge goal. Now I forgot the thing.
Focus. We're talking about focus.
Yeah.
Being good at the small steps.
Speaking of focus. Yeah. Anyways, I was gonna say something really wise, so yeah. I think I forgot it.
I want to say thank you, Michael, because you came here and had this talk for free.
And also, like, thank you to you guys for showing up here this evening, this cold evening, and for asking all of these great questions. I hope that I've provided something you can all think about, and I think you've also provided something which will be lingering in my mind a bit in regards to passion and stuff. So, thanks.